location is probably the most important part of your trading journey. Okay, where you're at in the trade on the chart makes the most difference. So let's take a look and see what I'm talking about. All right, so we have here the S&P 500. Okay, and we know that the S&P did this huge movement down, crashing through our major moving averages, crashing through this support area. It actually paused a little bit here, but then continued to crash through. And then this support area here really didn't do much of anything. It just kind of broke through, tested it, tried to get back up through, and then failed eventually. But at that point, it had decided that this would be its bottom on this crash downward. Okay, and I say crash downward because look at this move down, all this momentum heading downward. Okay, which at this point we're in a difficult location. Okay, this location put us beneath all this overhead. It's like we just came splashed down through the water, and now we got this big old overhead of water, and we're down here sinking slowly and trying to get back to the top. Alright, so we have all this overhead now at this location here, and we're looking to get through all this overhead, right? We have to kind of wonder, okay, am I going to be able to get down through here and then come back and push right back up through all this movement? Alright, I got to come down and then blast right back up through this. Well, now I'm so far under, right, that I have to kind of push my way back up. If I don't come back up with momentum, I'm going to start to lose air, start to lose the strength to get up through that. Right, and I'm going to run into some resistance overhead with the moving averages, as well as this particular area that was support that now I've made into resistance on my fall. Okay, so the chances are of us, unless we come down and we blast off and head back up vigorously, the chances are we're going to come up, run into some resistance like we did here, ran up, resistance, resistance, resistance in this location on this moving average. Okay, so we ran into this resistance and pushed up, almost got through, but we didn't. We failed. Alright, and we put in this what appears to be a evening star reversal, most likely. You know, that there could be a type of doji. Alright, we could call it whatever we want to call it, honestly, but we do know that's a reversal signal because we came against this resistance here and sold off. And we didn't sell off a little bit, we sold off enough to take out this bar here. And then we put in a doji afterwards. Now this doji here is the indecision signal also in this location at this 200 SMA, or that's the moving exponential. Okay, and in this area here we failed because when we opened up after this doji, which if we would have opened up here, there's a good chance we may have gone back and tried to retest this area, but the chances are we probably would have failed without a lot of volume coming in to help push us up. Okay, but we didn't. We opened up down here and we pushed down hard and took out all this over here, all this consolidation that happened over here was taken out. So come Monday morning, when the market opened, where's the most likelihood we're going to be? Well, we know that on this push down right here, it was a pretty big movement to the downside. It only took 3 days to go back down and wipe all this out. All right, going up, it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days to get up here, 7 days to get here, and only 3 days to take it out. So that kind of a push down is going to do what to a person's psychology? Suppose you were in this trade down here and you saw that, and you saw that, and you saw that, and you went, oh, what's going on? And then this came in and wiped you all out. Alright, that's going to make you say, uh-oh, I need to lock in my gains. I need to lock it in. I need to lock it in. And now here's the result of everybody trying to lock in this move if they caught it. If they didn't already sell into this pressure already, knowing that there was an overhead resistance. All this resistance overhead. Okay. So at this point in this location, now we're probably thinking we're going to continue to sell. Now we're going to sell off enough to come back, retest this support area in here, and reverse and head back up, or we're going to continue to push downward. Well, we know that the location of our moving averages are still overhead. Okay. We know that the location of our resistance, if we open up below this bar, is overhead. So now we have all this resistance overhead that we have to come back and try to get back through. Okay. So we're in a bad location at this point. We're below this moving at this support area, and we're trying to swing back around and head back up. Because most turnarounds don't just do that V-shaped bottom that you hear they talk about so much. You always hear the V-shaped bottom. Oh, it was a V-shaped bottom. Well, you know what? Most of the time, it's not a V-shaped bottom that gets you back to the top. Usually, it's a nice little swing, consolidation, and then move up. More like a fry pan bottom, or a bowl, or a pot, or whatever you want to call it. But you usually push down, flatten out, and head back up. Okay, after a large move up. Okay, and it's never just, or I shouldn't say never just, but it's usually, a gradual turnaround, because you have a lot to change, a lot of stock to change direction. Okay, let's take the Bitcoin. Bitcoin had its nice big push up, got to its plateau, tested this area of this high twice, and then now it's on this backside of that movement. Okay, it was lucky enough to find some support in our moving averages. This location here was enough to support, and it showed us that it had some support because it gave us these pin bars here, right? These tweezer bottoms, you might want to call them. Okay, it gave us these tweezers, and then we moved and went to try to get higher. All right, but we ran into this resistance in this area here. Okay, which, if you look at it, if you go back here, okay, this resistance area at one point was a somewhat support area. We did get some support here. We did get some support here. Some support here. Alright. Break down, break up, retest, support a little bit, sell off again. So there is some support and resistance here, but it's not a major support area. Okay. And that's indicated to me by this move here where we gapped up. Okay, because we're bounced around in here, and then in order to get up through this area here, we had to gap up and put in a lot of force to get through here to push up higher at this location. So when it messed around up here and it started to sell off, it came back to this location. Okay, where it left all these people behind and took off in its rocket ship. Now all these people are waiting to get picked up, so now we're back to try to get these people loaded in the next ship for the next flight. Okay, and the location currently is above our moving averages, which puts us in what's considered an up market. Okay, a bull's market. Okay, although we were looking bearish here, we were still bullish because of our major moving averages and our location of our major moving averages. Okay. And that's our Bitcoin chart, by the way, if you haven't noticed. Let's look at oil. Okay, same thing with oil. Location. Alright, so the oil found its bottom down in here where it had some support in this area. Okay, so we know all this here is just noise. It didn't really, this is a resistance area. Alright, this here can go away. Because now we know pretty much our range, right? Our range is between here stuff is just noise. Okay. We know this was a good resistance area here. Alright. Failed here. Failed here. Alright, so this is a good area of resistance. And I say area, we're not talking about just this line, we're talking about this area in here. Alright. Because a lot of times it may go back up, it might not even touch that. Okay. Or like this one here, it blasted through, but it couldn't finish getting through, and it sold off again. Alright, so that's areas. Okay, and I'm giving this one, I'm not going to delete this one because that's going to be our next area that we have to get through in order to get to the top. But we have all this overhead resistance. Okay, and this right here is coming into that other area of resistance. Oh, did I delete it? I did, didn't I? Doggone it. I'll bring that back. Anyway, we'll fix that later. Okay, so this area of resistance is going to be strong. Okay, even though we, found some support here and tried to come back, and we're still running into this area of resistance, and there's a lot of overhead pressure. So we know that there's going to be a push up, maybe a pullback, and then a push higher if it's got enough to get through. Most likely we're going to push up because these moving averages are facing downward. We're going to run into a lot of resistance here, and most likely we're going to sell off and come back and retest this area for support. And as these moving averages continue to roll down, we're going to continue to test those moving averages until we have enough strength to bust through. So as it's forcing us down, we're consolidating. As it's forcing us down, we're consolidating. We're buying more and more and more as it's pushing us down, because what? We're getting it at a cheaper price. So at some point, the price is going to be stronger than our moving averages forcing down on us, and we'll be able to break through. But that will require some time, right? So the location of where we're consolidating and the amount of time we put in is going to be enough to help push us higher. Time is the key component as well. Alright, so this location tells us that we most likely are going to continue to sell off, right, in just this support area. So the location of this support is if it doesn't hold us, then what's going to happen? We're going to fall through and we're going to have to find a new location to find some support, or a new area to find some support before trying to retest this moving average. And then we're going to have a whole new area of resistance overhead. Okay, so we're going to have to keep playing this overhead resistance game until we have enough support to push through. Alright, then we broke through it, almost started a new range, but we had enough support and enough volume coming in, enough energy coming in to push us higher. So now we got a 4-bar move here. Alright, so that 4-bar move, okay, most likely may become a 5 or 6-bar move, but we know we're going to have some kind of a pause coming real soon. Alright, this move here was what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars before it ran into some resistance. We ran into some resistance here on the 7th bar, but it didn't get a real sell until this 8th bar. We got a little bit of a sell off into some support before trying to push back higher, putting in another 4 bars. Okay, and this is weekly bars. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of trading before running into some resistance. Okay. Then we got a pause. 1, 2, 3 weeks of trading in this range here. Okay, before trying to go higher. Alright, so that's where we're talking about patience. Okay, because these are weekly bars and it took a lot of weeks to get to this point. Okay, a lot of weeks consolidating, 3 weeks of bouncing around in the same area, driving you nuts. What's going on? How come we're not going higher? Why we keep selling off? It's just, and these are weekly bars, so on the daily, let's look at a year and a day, right? A year and a day, it looks like this. It's a lot of sideways trading before pushing higher. Okay, so now you're in here and you're here and you're going, man, what's going on? We can't get no momentum. We can't push up through this stuff. We don't have nothing going on. But when you go back and you look at the bigger picture, you're saying, oh, it was only like 3 weeks of trading. Well, I mean, technically it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of trading. Okay, trying to do that little bit. Just trying to do this to get through here. Alright, so patience. Alright, just know your location, know your support areas, the location of your support areas, because you don't have to have all these lines on here. You should just visually be able to see where your support areas are going to be. Okay, and if that location doesn't work, then you just know where my next support should be. It should be over here. Okay, in this location. Alright, this area should be my support. Okay. Location, support area, overhead moving averages, overhead resistance. Okay, trying to get back up through there. Alright, moving averages underneath, the location of my major moving averages, how far are they from my stop to help support it going higher? Is it at a support area? If I should fail? Okay, you need to know where all this stuff is at as you're making your move, or as you're planning your trade. Okay, location. Started out down here and had to get back up through all this resistance and failed. It took out most of whatever it put in. Alright. Location of our major moving averages, location of our stock, location of our support, 8 and 9 SMAs. Okay, location of our last major signal. Alright, now is this a morning star? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to call it one. Okay, technically, does it really look like a morning star? Yeah, you know, not from what I've seen, but it sure acted like one. Okay, at this 20-day simple moving average. Alright, so we hit this moving average and we springboarded and took off. Went back, you know, put in, this is my daily, yeah, this is my daily bars. So it went back to retest that resistance area. It only took 3 days to get there. So it came in with a lot of volume here, a lot of strength, saying, hey, we're going for this. We're going to get through this. We're going to try it and see what happens. Okay, we did get into a little failure. Haven't got that bar to close above it yet. And that's what we need in order to be feeling confident that our trade is going to work. And even so, it may not work. Even if you look right here. Got up above, got to close above, but the next day it just couldn't do it. Couldn't hold on. Okay, so we have to know that, you know, even in this location or area, that it could be a failure based on the location and the area that it's in. Alright, and what it took to get there. Okay. Same thing. Location, over here, resistance. Location, resistance, support. I think we're going to end it there. I think you kind of get the picture. The location of our moving averages, the location of our support, our resistance area, the location of our stock, in correlation to those particular things helps to define, you know, which way we're going to move in a trade. And if we're at the low of that previous move high, we find our low, then we're going to probably want to go up and retest that high again. So if we're buying in here, we know, okay, we want to, if we buy this one here, okay, we buy 100 shares, and we know we want to get back up to here, okay, so we're buying low and we're going to be selling high. We buy 100 shares, we might get up here and sell 50 of them and see what happens. If we come back and find some support here and head back up again and run into that, we might sell half of that last 50 and sell 25 to see what happens, you know. Or you might want to just push up and sell it all up here. Who knows? However you want to trade it, but you do know that you're buying low and you're be selling high because if you looked at the time frames of how this particular stock has been moving. All right, the location of the last, you know, support area is important. You know where your supports are. You know where your resistance are. All right, I have overhead resistance at $113. I have support at $80. Okay, to get to $113, that's what, a $33 move, if my math is correct. All right, so if you're buying down here at 80, a $33 move is a nice move higher. All right, but you need to know where is your bottom. or where is your lower support area. Now if we come back through here and this fails and we break down through here, now we know we're going to have a lower support somewhere in here, and we have to go back and try to figure out where that is. Alright. But usually when it's a long ways away, we get this. Okay. If our major support is a long way away, we get this. Okay, because we didn't really get, we got a test here. 1, 2, 3 days. And then sell off, come back down into here, and then another push up. Then we get a test. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then move higher. Alright, but in this area here, we didn't really push up and come back and retest this area for support. We hit it maybe once and twice, and then just took off, right, and left the support area behind. Okay, so to confirm that this is a good support area is when we sold off and we hit the area again, right? But the problem was that our sell was so large that it couldn't be contained by this little support area that was only been tested a few times. Alright. And when it sold off, it hit it and said, whoa, this is some support, so we may need to make it look more like it's an important support area. Alright. We know that area to be important now because of its movement over time, or its the reaction to it over time. Okay, we had a reaction to it over time. Reaction. All right. So that location is a significant area for us to pay attention to. All right. So we're going to end it there. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be careful out there. These markets are crazy.